what's in store for SBS Volume 5. Tune in for behind the scenes information about the creation of the One Piece anime. Oh my God. The name of Shanks First Mate? Who could that be? What is his name? Who is he? Have we seen him before? We'll find out. And lastly, a secret. A secret about Oda? Oh my God. Shh. Shh. It involves a executive and strict art policy for everyone to follow that works for his manga. Okay, let's get to the video. Oh my God. Ah! Hi guys, this is Dr. Alchemist, M.F.A, the Neil Scholar, and we are here with a One Piece SBS Volume 5. And yeah, I already rolled the intro, so you know what's coming up, and I'm sure you see the title. So I'm ready to get into it. How y'all been? We are at our first milestone of 444, the angel numbers, subscribers. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe while we are building to 500 subscribers. We have to get that mark. And why should you subscribe? Of course, you're subscribing for my Pokemon journey to be a Pokemon champion. And you will see that on my live stream and then vlogs. But also, you'll see my journey through One Piece. I am committed to do 1,500 chapters. I feel like Oda's going to go to 1,500 or 2K. And I'm going to do everyone. So, hey, if you're looking for someone that's consistent in your life, I'm that guy. Maybe not your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, or your girlfriend, but I'm consistent and I'm going to be here every week. And that's why you should subscribe. Okay? You know I was serious today because I wrote a script. Okay? I didn't write it like a day before, but I wrote that bitch. I wrote it in my head while walking from the gym, from the gym to the car. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's get it. So I have a treat in store with you. And let's go. We're recording and boom. Here we go. We have SBS Volume 5. Oh, 5. So, this is how we're going to do this one, right? Because we only have 2 chapters to go over it. Oh, you thought I wasn't going to have nothing to talk about. Oh, we have a lot to talk about. Oda, even though we only have 2 chapters of SBS questions, we have so much to talk about. And we're in Volume 5, and I cannot wait to start Volume 6. I don't know why I was doing that. All right, let's go. So we're going to start with the first SBS or information moment. It is chapter 36, page 28. So as you can see, it's not, so of course, chapter 36. It's in the omnibus. We're on the second one. And this is in volume 5. So I'm going to read these things to you because I think it's still important to talk about it. Like I said in the intro, this is information about the One Piece anime and its creation. And I think that's very important for anybody that's inspired to be a producer, an animator, create their own manga, get their own manga adapted, get anything, maybe their own comic book. This is good information. Also, we get to know because we're dweebs, we're nerds. We love One Piece. So let's talk about this, okay? So I'm going to read it to you. So this is the first section, as you see right here, chapter 36, page 28. The only way you will see it if you have the omnibus or the Tankemon volume 5. So I'm going to read it. In 1998, One Piece, one second. Okay, I'm just making sure my audio is good. All right. In 1998, One Piece was part of something called Jump Super Anime Tour 98. It was a fun film festival featuring 3 Shonen Jump comics adapted into short animated films. It played in theaters across Japan. Now that's interesting. I like how it went from its manga and then into a short animated film, which is really good because I want to release a manga in the future. So I feel like the steps for me is light novel, one shot, release a manga, And then if I can produce on my own, create short films and put it out into the film festival circuit or different competitions like this. But this one was produced with, I guess, a production company. Let me continue. Because of the tour, One Piece had good fortune of being adapted into animation for the first time. Okay. The anime made for the festival was called One Piece Defeat Them. The Gonzak pirates, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, were in it, but it was a new story. That wasn't in the comic book. To create anime, many different professionals come together: directors, screenwriters, character designers, illustrators, colorists, cameramen, editors, developers, sound technicians, composers, engineers, producers, animators, voice actors, and on and on. It's amazing, brings tears to my eyes. And if you are a YouTuber, you are all that in one. Yep, yes, you are. You have to do all that by yourself. I wish I knew that about doing YouTube. It's 80, you know, how like eight relationships about 80/20. You're 20% talent on camera, 80% production. Yep, it's all production. If you're great at production and a producer, you'll be like a great successful on YouTube. I swear. The reason it brings tears to my eyes is that everyone involved has such passion for providing enjoyment for people. Seeing this was a good influence on me. It lit the fires of my writer soul. Oh, hot. And on top of that, the finished product was so well done. Luffy's and the others' voices and movements were amazing, totally beyond what I'd imagined. If you weren't able to catch it during the anime tour, I hope someday you will have the opportunity to see it. Luffy stretching, the cry of Gonzak, the pirate general, and the fun songs. So this is from chapter 36, chapter 28. This is from chapter 36, page 28, at the end of the chapter 36. I still wanted to read this note from Oda because I thought it was still important because it relates. All right. It might not be SBS super related, but it is a note from Oda, and any note from Oda works for us. So you know how we do it in here when we do the SBS. I'm going to read it from the wiki, so the fandom, One Piece fandom, as you can see, wiki. But also I have the Bible, the text, just in case I really want to get into it, right? Because he translates it, which is great, but I feel like sometimes it's a little more detailed in here. So all right. At the beginning of the SBS, he says for chapter 42, page 148, thank you very much. Let's begin the question corner on your feet. Attention, hold that pose. Okay, Sensei. Well, hello. I might as well hello. I might as well start the SBS corner now. Should stand, be careful. Okay, stay there. Okay, I guess whatever. I have an inquiry. Sensei, doesn't the first mate on Shank's ship have a name? And also the meat guy. Ah, so in the SBS volume 5, he actually wrote little doodle little thumbnails of the two red hair Shank pirates. Let's continue. Take your seat. Of course he has a name. At first he was Shofu Kude Nuzumi, because his face kind of looks like a mouse. That's what Usopp said. He was lying. His real name is Ben Beckman, okay? And the meat eating fat guy name is Lucky Roux. Real quick, I guess we could just click so you can get it. This is Ben Beckman, okay? That's Ben Beckman. Y'all remember him? We met him in Orangetown, where Luffy is from. Orangetown, right? Or I always forget. Hold on. Luffy is from what island? Orangetown, right? Dawn Island. Oh, Fuchsia Village. So we met them in Fuchsia Village. So that's been Beckman. And then Lucky Roux. Okay. Boom. Boom. Okay. Perfect. All right. Let's continue. I love how we can just click. I don't have to do much work. The advertisements are kicking my ass. Jesus Christ. Okay. Here we go. There's really no need to remember something like that, but since I got asked enough, I might as well clear it up. So that's Ben Beckman and Lucky Roux. So now we finally know who his first mate and one of his main people or main head pirates on the Red Hair Shank Pirates crew. Super interesting. Next question. I have a question. I always see the sound effects of done, tada, in One Piece. But why done? I think Babine. It, I'll say it on here. The sound effect tada shows up a lot in One Piece. But why tada? I think something like babing would work just as well. No, no, good. No good at all. I use tada when I draw scenes to give them that tada kind of feeling. So if I drew in, I don't like how they say here. Maybe it's a gag or saying something tada. No, that wouldn't work. That just would. This is the original. This is the original translation from the omnibus. No, that wouldn't work. That just wouldn't work. When I write tada, I draw with the feeling of tada. If I wrote babing, I would end up drawing babing. Kind of picture. Maybe that would work in a gag scene, or maybe something like uh-huh. No, it's entirely different. All right, Oda. Hey, we get it, brother. We get it, okay? He said what he said. All right. Now, the last one, and then we're gonna go. Oh, I got something in store. Y'all gonna be so excited. Is at the end of chapter 43. So let's flip to that page. How are y'all doing so far? Like I said, we're our quest to 500. And follow my journey, y'all. Yeah, you know, follow my One Piece journey, follow my Pokemon journey. That's what y'all here for. All right. We got 10 years and I'll be 40. So I'm committed to my 40. All right, let's go. Okay, this is kind of cute. But I'm gonna read the question. It says, nice to meet you, Oda Sensei. I love the manga you draw. Nepsi. He said, oh, damn. I love him when boys and girls misread and omit the letters like that. Makes me wonder if anyone can read those weird letters. I'm sorry for making O and I in the title, logo, picture, and not simple letters. It's correctly spelled One Piece. Remember that if you have the time. Okay, the way he said it, it sounds like he's talking to an adult, but the way he wrote it, it sounds like a kid. So I love this. Ah, it's been done to me. I just love the kind of word mistakes that young girls and boys make. But I understand how could you read such a strange letters? The O and the I in the title logo don't look like letters, do they? Sorry about the funny design. What it really says is One Piece. You pronounce it one piece peso. If you have time, learn it. And the question he says, nice to meet you, Oda Sensei. I love the manga you draw called Nepis. 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 I think that's cute. Nepis. I think it's cute. Yeah. So I wanted to read it there. All right. What does Moe written on Morgan's chin mean? Wait, there's it. Okay, well, hold on. What? There's something on Morgan's chin? Where? Okay, there's something on his chin, but hold on. We need Okay, boom. There you go. So we're referencing Morgan's chin. We already did a Morgan discussion video. You should go back and check it out. Shameless plug. Okay, it's German word. It means seagull. The pronunciation is kind of Mihiv. He really is a sailor, isn't he? Okay. It's German. It means seagull, and it's pronounced Mibi. Oh, it's pronounced Mibi. After all, he's a seaman. Okay, cool. And the word Maui, it's Maui. Okay, that's how you pronounce it. All right. You can't mess this one up. Yeah. You know, with Zoro's three sword style, I don't think he'd be able to talk with the sword in his mouth. Could it be ventriloquism? It's his heart speaking. And he says, Fine spirit. Same thing. All right, last question. This is now where we go into the deep dive. I'm super excited. And this is what we've been waiting for. This is the secret of Oda. I'm gonna read both translations. You ready? You don't seem to use much tone. Is there a reason? Well, it takes forever to start ace fixing the tone. It takes a lot of time, and it's a pain in the blank. My policy is if you can only do partial tone, it's better just to make it black and white. That's my policy. All right, I read that. And then I read the official, the Bible. You don't use zipatone much. Is there some reason? Once you start pasting tone, there's no end. It takes time and it's a pain in the ass. Okay, he exited that out. My policy is that it's better to go with black and white than to just partially use tones. Yeah, it's my policy. So I don't know what that means. Okay. Oh shit. Hold on. Oh my god. Hold on. Which chapter are we on? Page. I shouldn't have closed it for dramatic effect, right? So I thought this was very interesting that he had this policy of like, look, we're just gonna do it black and white. If you cannot do it fully, basically fully rendered, or what we're gonna see, don't do it. Okay. And oh, right here. Okay. So he, but the question was like, you don't use zipatone, right? Zipatone is a technique. So it's a form of screen tone. Okay. So they're related. Follow me here. We're gonna learn something. So screen tone is a technique that they're referencing. So I researched what the hell zipatone is. First we chat GPT like what zipatone is in manga. And then I went down and I went down, I went down. Okay. So what should we start with? I think we should start with a visual, right? Okay. So let's start with the visual. Zipatone is when they have this dotty overlay, right? And so the question is, you don't use zipatone much, right? Is there some reason? And it takes time, it's a pain. So you better just go black and white, right? Black, white, shaded gray, whatever, like that. Keep it simple. And then to just partially use tones. But this is zipatone, right? So you put the dots in, it has the textures, and then that's just ink and lines, right? See the difference? So that's the difference for which I kind of like this. It looks hand drawn to me. Well, because it is. And I appreciate that as a designer to see the left. And it's more doable for him to produce that weekly. Remember, they're producing this manga once a week with limited breaks made for holiday. So yeah, this right might look more in depth, but if you have a great story, like we understand what's going on, you know? Yeah, they have more time on the right, but in the left, I appreciate it. I still know what's going on. Like, what do y'all prefer? The left or the right? You know? I might have to use this for I'll probably use this for my thumbnail. I like that. So I'm gonna keep that. All right. So now we know understand what the zipatone and what's not, what's black and white versus zipatone. Let's get into it. I just wanted to read this. Screen tone. See, I got inspired this. I thought I was like, oh, three shapes overlaid with different screen tone patterns. See? So little dots, big dots, and then a different pattern of dots, right? More multiples of dots. So that's overlays, right? To create textures like that and that. Okay. Screen tone is a technique for applying textures and shades to drawings, used as an alternative to hatching. In the conventional process, patterns are transferred to paper from pre-printed sheets. It is also known by common brand names Zip-A-Tone, 1937, now defunct, Chart Pack 1949, and Letretone 1966 from Letreset. Okay. A dry transfer screen tone sheet, sometimes formerly known as a tone, consists of a flexible, transparent backing, the printed texture, and wax adhesive layer. The sheet is applied to the paper, adhesive down, and rubbed with a stylus, also called a burnishing tool. On the backing side, the backing is then peeled off, leaving the ink adhere to the paper where pressure was applied. Okay. All right. So I found a a little history about manga. Why not? Because you know this channel, right? We have time. Um, why is manga typically created with screen tones rather than grayscale fills? So Oda is still using grayscale fills. So I wanted to just read a couple things I thought was interesting. Um, this person is asking the question. I'm not familiar with the terminology is a grayscale fill. When you have digital image and fill a region with color using the bucket tool, or is it a thing you can do purely with analog tools, pen, paper, ink? If it's the former, I suspect the reason is basically that manga drawing has been a largely non-digital process since its inception, and the industry is slow to change. I'd say it's for flexibility and artistic value. Screen tones are not limited to adding shades of gray to an image. Whereas a grayscale fill probably is. I'm only guessing based on the name since I don't actually know what it is. Also, an image using truly grayscale tones looks quite different from one uses screen tones. You might as well ask, why are manga drawn by hand and not computer generated graphics? There are a number of manga with CG in it, and they're usually referred to as cold CG. It also tends to be less popular among fans. Okay. All right, bet. So, some answers I want to just go over. These are called bin day dots. Depending on the size and spacing of the dots, you can create different shades using a single color. Or with limited color palette, you can produce different shades not available. So you can overlay these to create different things. So I thought that was just very interesting to go over, right? So you can pick one like combine 419 with 426, combine 419 with 437. You can combine multiples, right? Thought that was very interesting. It is often used to save on printing costs, as you can get a wide range of shades, colors with a small usage of ink. No need for different levels of pressure. Because manga is often disposable medium, keeping costs low is often a priority for magazines and such to pull a profit without increasing the prices for consumers. You may see this in other non-manga print mediums as well, like free slash low cost newspaper. So this is the left, but you come down, there you go. It has become associated with comics, both East and West, so often shows will use it for artistic purposes. I've never seen that. Maybe like if somebody was like glitching, right? Then I've seen that. I just thought straight away Digimon try. Or no, yeah, even Digimon Adventure, but Digimon try like with some glitching and stuff, right? Other screen tones exist like speed marking, shoujo sparkles, and such. And simply they are used because it is both easier and faster to get your desired effect, as well as providing particular aesthetics. It ensures a color is solidly, evenly shaded. Whereas when coloring manually, it is easy to have unseen shades by angling or pressuring differently across an image. Okay? It is impactful to use solid color or shade gray when printing manga and most other forms of printed media. Okay, so use impractical. Oh, it's impractical to use a solid color or shade of gray when printing manga in most forms of printed media. Doing so will require using a separate ink to render each individual color shade. Instead, most printing methods use a limited number of inks. They are combined with background and other inks using dots. Other shapes to render other colors and shades. For example, a typical inkjet printer combines cyan, magenta, yellow, and black dots to produce various colors, while the black and white pages of most manga use only black ink. Different shades of gray rendering are using techniques like hatching and screen tones. Okay, that makes sense. Black ink and shades of gray. For example, here's a cover of the first volume of Yokohama Kadashi Giko Tankibon by Hitoshi Ashinaro. Okay. So example, I think this is a probably hand drawn. While it looks like the letters of the title are a solid color, if you look closely, they're actually made of a different colors. Oh, look, that's right there. So you see the dots. Oh, you see the dots. Okay. Makes you feel like it has texture. The cover was probably produced by taking the original artwork, overlaying the title, and then using some sort of half a toning process to produce something that can be reproduced. The publisher's color printing presses. Inside the manga is black and white, and the use of dots and hatching to represent areas in various shades of gray. As more obvious. When the manga was originally published, it was in the manga anthology monthly afternoon, probably on cheap colored newsprint. The printing process here doesn't support the fine, almost impossible to see with the naked eye, halfling toning used on the cover and of the Takibon. Let's see if we get a closer shot. So you kind of see it, if we're looking at it, you can tell right here, the shading. And I'm in the process of learning, so I'll know by the time I graduate from school. But I see it like only time I see. Where do y'all see it? Then let me know in the comments. Where do y'all see this technique being done? The screen tone. I only see it in the hair. I want to see here, but this is only one layer. Oh, the pants. Yeah, for sure the jeans, so I can feel the texture. Okay. You can see the shadows on the character's arm drawn using a hand-drawn hatching. Okay, right there. Hatching. Oh, that means like just hashing. While screen tones are used to shade her pants. Okay. Her hair in the guardrail in the background. Her hair. Okay. And the guardrail. Ah, right there. Okay. In the background, you can also see where the hand-drawn details were added to the screen tone clouds in the background. Hand tone, the screen tone. Okay. So this must be screen tone, these, since I guess it's uniform. If solid grayscale fills were used in these areas, it will require using a separate ink for shade. Sorry, let's see. Oh, if solid grayscale fills were used in these areas, it would require using a separate ink for shade used. Separate printing plates would have to be produced for each shade, and the printing process would have to ensure that each was applied precisely on the page so they don't shift relative to each other. This would dramatically increase the cost of printing of what originally was a cheap disposable magazine. Alternatively, the grayscale filled pages could be half a tone or digitally deherite in a fashion similar to the cover. This would allow a single plate with black ink to be used, keeping printing costs the same, but the result would look pretty crude. The dots can't be as fine as used on the cover. On cheap newspaper, they just bleed together to make the entire page black with larger dots. It would end up looking like a fuzzy, low resolution image. It wouldn't be anywhere near as good. What can be produced through the judicious use of screen tones and hand drawn shading? All right. I thought that was very informational about that. Now going back to our image, do we all understand class? How we see it, enhancing. And you know what? I think it looks great, but I'm always gonna go hand drawn. You know, it's just kind of what we're used to. I'm not mad at it, but hey. All right. Well, this was SBS Volume 5. We learned a few things. We learned that the origin story of the One Piece first anime ever done. So the we'll just say it's a short animated film, okay, based from the manga, which was toured, was amazing. Okay, I haven't seen it, but I need to see it. But I'm saying the moment was amazing. Also, we learned Ben Beckman and Lucky Roux's name, and one is the first mate, one is a prominent pirate on the Red Hair Shank Pirates crew. Okay. And lastly, we got to learn something about this technique that is called zapatone. Okay. And screen tones. I thought it was very interesting. So it's great that we got to incorporate a little design, a little One Piece, a little that, a little everything. And we got a little natural light. So I'm doing good if I recorded during the day. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember, you can adapt, you can rebuild, you can win. You, meaning me and you, can achieve our hopes and dreams. Okay? Keep analoging. I will see y'all later.